Good evening, welcome to Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, says it right down there. And welcome to another show. This is the quintessential live stream show where you can come along, paint your miniatures this evening live with my company. Because I'm awful, it'll always make you feel better about whatever it is that you're doing. If you're new here and you haven't already done so, please do consider subscribing. Every single subscription is felt so keenly by me. I overly appreciate every single one. It makes the community grow. All hail the algorithm, and every single subscription is really precious to me. If you genuinely do enjoy the show, or in some way in some small way, perhaps you're entertained even by the things that I say, please do consider subscribing. When you hit the subscription button, it comes up with a little bell, and if you click on that as well, it'll tell you every single time that I go live, because sometimes I do surprise little shows. Not all the time, but sometimes I do. Or maybe you just forget and you're going to miss one. Anyway, if you're new here, I'm not a tutorial show or anything like that. Like I've already said, I'm really rubbish. Well, I try my best. But if you want to kind of go out there and find some tutorial videos, then there's loads of that stuff out there on the internet. I'm literally just here to kind of paint my miniatures, and that's what this show's all about, right? We've all got hordes and hordes of miniatures and grey plastic and stuff just kind of building up all over the place, and little bit by little bit, I'm starting to get through my pile of grey. Last week, I started on a 50mm mouse, which is right here. I've done very little work on it over the last week, as seems to be mostly the case at the moment, but I have done some prep work because I managed to get out of work a little bit early today because my boss is lovely. He said, go home an hour early, everybody. Yeah, let's do that. So off we went. So yeah, I've been at home and I've been taping up my mouse because last week I just kind of got the basic colours down on it, and I was talking about camouflage colours, and I had lots of suggestions from you guys, the community, on and off of the show. I've decided to go with what my dad, Jeff, who actually is being my stepmum today in the live chat. Connoisseurs might notice that Lorna is in the live chat. That's not Lorna, it's not my stepmum. She has no interest in this, but Jeff, my dad, is struggling with his login, so has hijacked hers. So today, Matthew, my dad will be my stepmum. It's really weird. Anyway, my dad, last week suggested by a little private message here, because still struggling with the live chat, a little picture of someone's 1/35th build mouse, and the colour scheme, the camouflage colour scheme on there was really unique. I did a little bit of investigating, and it turns out that was the person who painted that was trying to just experiment really with different camouflages, but was trying to kind of emulate the German battleship sort of camouflages from around that same sort of time, because, well, let's face it, it's a land ship, right? It's an enormous piece of equipment. So I really liked it, and even though it may have not ever really had that sort of camouflage, it never really got to the field anyway, so there's no rules for it in the game. You don't really play with it. So the idea is I'll just do what I want with it. Anyway, got some people joining us in the live chat. We've got Overlord Game Store. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us, Overlord. I gave you a really big shout out last week, and I've been promoting some of your sales, etc. through the Facebook, because we're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Discord, where you can join me on the Easy 8 after the show if you want to. Not really nice to see you. Thanks for coming along, Overlord. We've got Adrian, evening all, and it's definitely not my stepmom, just using her name tonight. Cool. Do you know what? We've all got our hobbies, haven't we? Anyway, I'm going to pop the compressor on, and I'm going to take you over to the workbench. So, here is my mouse. You can see that I've been taping it all up. I've taped up everything for the green. It took a little while to do this, actually. The reason it took me a little while is because I'm not very good at trying to do my own freestyle camouflage. It's something that I need a lot of practice with. I'm okay with that. I just need practice. But I really like the design of this individual's camouflage scheme, and I thought, I'm just going to try and copy it. That's a bit of fun as well, is trying to copy their patterns, because it's not so freehand, because it is much more geometric, should I say. It's much easier for me to attempt to replicate it. Kez a little while ago donated to me some Tamiya masking tape, a load of rolls, and this dispenser because she just wasn't getting on with it for her BattleTech stuff. And I have found a great use for it, and that is in masking off this mouse here. So, if I take the turret off, you can see that I've started on the front here. I've got this big line at the middle. I'm going to put some green in here. I went down the side here. I've got a chevron there. I've got a line here, and I'm going to make the end over there green as well. Onto the side over here, I'm going to have a little tiny triangle. I'm going to have a line there and a line there. There's nothing on the back because on the pictures, there was no pictures from the rear, so I get an opportunity to kind of make that up myself. On the turret here, I've got 2 lines there. On the front, on the other side, I've got a chevron and a little corner over here, and there will be a couple of bands on the cannon because the cannon was so big. You just kind of break it up by having a series of lines across it, like the Fireflies did. They had like white stripes all the way down the end of the barrel to kind of break it up. So this little section here is going to be green. So if I can come into focus. Here it is. So this little area here is going to be green, and where this little bit of tape here is will be red. So it will go green, red, and then on the one that I'm copying, it seems to be like black on the end. So I'm not entirely sure why that is. I've got a little time to do some research on there, and I'll also do like a little bit of my own design, maybe a chevron or a triangle or something on the rear. There was nothing on the front of the turret, and there was nothing on the tops either. Because it only needs to be camouflaged from the sides. It's an enormous tank. There was very little chance that anyone would ever see it from the top, unless you're in an airplane, in which case it's probably too late for the tank anyway. So I'm just going to kind of get on and start spraying some green on it. I've got to take my time with it, even though I've taped it all off. It's still very easy for me to overspray, so I've tried to protect some other areas as much as I possibly can. I'm just going to take my time, apply some green, and you might remember me, I don't know if I was saying it last week or a little while ago, that I've really struggled with the camouflage modulation set. It has a shadow, a base, and a highlight for each of the 2 colours, the green and the red. And I've done a 1/35th Panther build ages and ages ago, and I found that the colours were just really, really bright. Because I'm used to starting in the middle and then working my way down to shadow and then going back to the base and then working my way up to highlight, it turns out that I'm doing it all wrong. And while that's frustrating to some degree, it's great to learn that. So it means that now I can kind of focus and kind of carry on, right? So what I need to do is start with a shadow and work my way all the way up to highlights. And that means that I can concentrate more on the darker layers. So basically, I need to have mostly the darkest colours of the camouflages with a little bit of highlights. When you're doing the main colours, it is probably more desirable to have more of the mid layers, but with the camouflages more darker. So I'm hoping that that's going to prove to be a learning point today. We'll see what happens. I have also just noticed that this is spelled wrong. It does say Olivgrün on there, which is German for olive green, but it does say Sardo. Rock brown shadow. So yeah, I just like it when I find little things like that. Anyway, look, I've got my airbrush here. I've given it a bit of a clean out. I'm hoping it's going to be good enough. It was quite clagged up after last week. So we'll see how it goes, right? So I've had a little bit of move around with everything in the studio today. You'll remember last week I kind of just come back from recon. I hadn't really finished setting up the studio, so things were kind of out of frame and not really working very well. It just didn't feel right on the screen, and I've been playing around with it. Kez also came here to the studio. Kez is someone, if you don't know Kez, someone who frequents the live chat. It isn't here today, but brought her, I believe it's Red Grass Games R9 desk lamp, and it's a lamp that I saw on Kickstarter, shared it with Kez, because she was struggling for lighting solutions in her painting area, and it's just a fabulous lamp. I never thought that I'd say it, but I really want that lamp. Like, who really wants a light? It is an incredible light. It's a really big light. It's a very, very well designed and thought out angle poise lamp that has like 3 dimensions of movement. It's really, really cool. It's got 2 swivel strip LED lamps, but not only are they just really good quality lights, They are more configured to the human eye. They're more configured to be within the right color temperature for sort of daylight, so it's not too cold, and it's just impossibly good light. I set it up here. It was actually over the top of my camera, and I was concerned about how I was going to be able to fit the lights around the camera. It doesn't create a shadow despite being behind objects. The lights are that good. So if you're interested in a really good working light solution, look no further than the Redgrass Games R9 desk lamp. It's pricey. I'm going to be really honest with you. It's £40 dearer now that it's not on Kickstarter. So it's now £240. So you can stick another 40 quid on top of that for shipping as well. So you're looking anywhere from £250 to £300 for that lamp. But if you are struggling with your light, it's an incredible light, and I am gonna have one because I'm always looking to upgrade the studio. Someone messaged me a little while ago, a new subscriber, an old friend, said, I don't know what I was expecting, Danny, but your setup was really professional. Thanks, mate. You know who you are. I'm going to give this a really good shake. Overlord Games says, do you only paint through an airbrush or do you also play around with brushwork? I do a mixture of both, and it depends on how I'm feeling, if I've got a choice. They both have their sort of pros and cons, don't they? They both have their things that you would use them either for. So the reason I got the airbrush initially is because I paint horde armies for Warhammer, or 40k. It's a very noisy vortex mixer. So the airbrush was designed to kind of get base paints on really, really quickly over large areas and large amounts of models. But as time went on, I just got more comfortable with it. I'm still not very good with it. Well, I really enjoy it. It's just fun, you know. But you'll never take the brush out of my hand. So it depends. There's a lot of detail work that you'll need to be able to do with brushes. I say you'll need to be able to do, you don't need to do it, but you know what I mean. Right, so I'm going to drop a few drops of this in here. I'm actually going to stick a drop of Flow Improver in there. AK paints are so good, I don't think that they need any sort of thinner or medium. They're just really well made. But last week I just felt I was using them enough that they were starting to clag up in the airbrush. So a Flow Improver will just kind of help the transferring from nozzle to model. It might be in there a little while longer than normal, just because I'm going to be taking my time, you know. Just going to mix it up inside the hopper in there. Just a really crappy old brush there. If you guys are working on a project this evening, I normally say this right at the beginning of the show. I was a little bit distracted at the beginning. You might be able to tell. But if you are working on a project this evening, I genuinely want to know about it. So tell me all about it. You can share pictures of it if you want to on Facebook. I highly recommend you go onto Facebook. All of the community are over there on Facebook, and you should go and join everybody. You can put pictures of all your stuff up. You can ask questions. You can celebrate your victories. You can, talk about how something might not be working for you. Get some advice. And our community are really friendly. So go and find them because they're cool peeps. Right. I'm going to do the front here. I'm a little bit worried about the front because there's a gap here at the front and I've taped it off. I don't want the green to kind of creep through that gap. But because there's no plastic bit here, it will create a little bit of a gap and spray underneath. But whatevs. Just make sure I've got a little bit of a test spray. Nice and gentle. And I'm just going to build it up. Now some paints come through quite thick and heavy, so they're quite easy to control, but this one comes through really fine, and even with just a small burst, it can have quite a spread. So I'm just going to be taking my time. Now I don't normally take this sort of time with the 15mm, because we don't really play serious games with them. I mean, War Tanker is a serious game, it's a very tactical game, but we just kind of pick it up and have a laugh, have a beer, and it's kind of got a very disposable sort of attitude. We have a very disposable attitude with it, where we just pick up a tank, what are we going to play today? Play this one, oh I'm out, I'm dead. So with that sort of an attitude, we tend to not sort of paint our tanks really diligently. Oh, with this one, because it's so big, I feel really inclined to do so. And maybe that'll start happening with all my other 15mm tanks. I hope not, because I've got so many of them. I'm just going to put my thumb here just to help protect the area that I don't want to paint. Okay, that's a nice colour. I like that already. I'm going to come down the side over here. I'm going to go into this little triangle area. The reason I'm going to here first, not down this side, is because I actually still want to put a little bit of tape over the top up here to protect it from going on the top of the hull. You can see here that I've put little horizontal lines there just to stop it from spraying onto the top, and I still yet to put one on there. So I'm just going to work down my side here. Overlord says, what paint ranges do you use? What are you most used to? The largest collection I've got is Vallejo Game Air. I've also got the brush version of that as well because they were donated to me by a friend. Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, I've got Vallejo mostly. I've got some Citadel paints because some of those are very good too, but I'm very choosy about which ones that I use. And I've also got a selection of AK Interactive and a very finite amount of MIG, ammo MIG. The ones that I really get on with are AK, but I've got the most of Vallejo because I had to start somewhere, so I just bought a starter set. That was when I got my airbrush. So I'm going to try and not be too heavy with this spray job, and definitely going to come back for a second pass. So I've done those two bits there. Going to do this line on the back here. Looking good, looking good. Now that I see the shadow colour rather than the brighter mid colours and highlight colours, I'm starting to see where I went wrong all that time ago. But I think it's important to have in your collection your mistakes kept on file, if you like, because you've got to see your progress over the years. It's one of those things that's been said for, hundreds of millions of years, isn't it? An artist never gets rid of their older works, or is never embarrassed by their old work, because it shows you how far you've come. So yeah, I've got loads of models that you can see I've progressed over the years. Just trying to control that flow. That's one of the things I'm really not very good with, is controlling flow. It's an art form. It took a long time to tape this up as well, about an hour and a half to get all the taping in there. I mean, I was copying a reference picture, or a couple of reference pictures, but it took a really long time. Okay, that's the middle one done now. I'm going to go to the back here. See, there's a little bit of a gap behind the tape there because it's another overhanging piece of armor there. Drying on the nozzle. Just have to keep doing little test pulses. Doesn't want to paint that bit on the back there. Come on. I think what I need to do is just take the little nozzle protector off here. There we go. I'm just going to get a little bit of cotton, tiny little bit of paint build up on the needle tip there. There we go. Because that tiny little bit of dried paint just gets a snowball effect, and it's really important to keep the needle tip clear. That's one of the things I find with AK is that they do they're so fine, they dry really quickly, and they do build up quite quickly on the needle. I can see we've got some more comments going in. As soon as I come away from this little bit, I'll go through those comments. And then what I'm going to do with this one here is I'm just going to make a new piece of tape, and I'm just going to draw a little line across the top there. So comments going in. Lorna's, my dad Jeff says, I've just put the last magnet in the bocage build. Just got to box it and it can go to its new home in Oz. I don't want to make anything green for a while. I'm so sorry to give you PTSD by starting off on the green colour here. It's a fantastic build, and if anyone's interested in seeing the latest work that my dad has made over at Purple Lion Creations, you can find links just down there in the description of this video. You can also find links over on Facebook, or you can just go straight to Purple Lion Creations, where it's got loads of photos over there. It's a really impressive build. How many feet in total of bocage sections have you made? It's quite the build. So, what I'm going to try and do here is just get the edge of that lined up with my huge sausage fingers. I've actually got really delicate fingers, but on a tiny little model like this, it does feel like I've got Richmond sausages hanging off the end of my fingers, under my hands. There we go, just right on the edge of that top lip of armour there. There we go, and that's that. Thanks, Kez, for giving me that tape. I'm really getting on with it. I'm sorry you didn't get on with it, but well, your loss is my gain, I suppose. Of course, if you want it back, just say, because it's your tape. Going a bit heavy there. You ease back a little bit. I think I've cleared a blockage. I might have been fighting through that a minute ago, and now I come back to it, it's just coming out really fast. Okay. We're going to definitely do a second pass on this, but that's looking nice and even already. I really like it. Over to the turret. Should have done another line across the top over there. But we'll get to that in a second. Just going to do this back corner here. I'm not going to put a piece of tape across the back because I can hold it at an angle where the flow of paint. I need to calm down. It's been a long week, man. The flow of paint should only come from one direction, so shouldn't really bother the backside of that turret so much. Want it to go ever so slightly under. There we go. And you can see now on the back there, no paint. On that edge, you can see a straight line. Just because it only flows in one direction, right? On this side here, I have taped it off. I don't know why I decided to do it on one side and not the other. It's probably losing the plot by that point. That's a nice steady flow. That's working for me. Very nice. And then there's a little bit here as well. Okay, a little bit on the cannon. Now, I'm kind of deliberately airbrushing wrong here. You'll notice that I've got a kind of steady stream, and I'm just, as soon as I find that flow rate that I'm comfortable with, I'm just holding it, and that's why I'm doing it, because I found a flow rate that I'm comfortable with. This paint I find a little bit difficult to use. The proper way that you should be trying to paint with it is kind of like it in smaller sort of pulses like this, and that is just to stop that steady build up on the needle. It still will build up, but by doing kind of regular smaller pulses, it will build up less quick. So to avoid that, you do little pulses, but I struggle trying to find the flow rate with this paint. And that's because it's good quality and I'm not. And again, just across the top of the chevron here, I'm going to put another strip of paint, a strip of tape. So, pull this little bit through. Shoot that up there, lovely. Adrian says, I've been working on my mouse. I still need to decide which green to use, so working on the tracks. Also working on the Kazakin number 5, as well as that big old Screamer Killer. Love a Screamer Killer. And I must apologise, Adrian. I do like to always reply to people on the social media accounts. I forgot. You did put up a message, a question on Easy8's Facebook page talking about the colour choices for your camouflage for your mouse. And I think you actually were referencing the books for reference from last week's show. I've got them right beside me, so if you can hit me with the question again, if you still need the answer to it, I'll gladly get the book up and we can go through it together. I do like to, for anyone who's new and doesn't know me, if you're ever leaving a comment down there, if you're ever talking to me on Messenger, on Facebook, on Instagram, Discord, I like to reply to every single comment, message, etc. I'm only human, and frankly I'm a bit of a poor one at that sometimes, so sometimes I do forget, and I'm really sorry if I miss you out. So do pester me if you want to talk to me, because I'm kind of a big deal. People know me. Got some hearts coming in there. Thanks for the hearts. Is that Dave doing that? Dave normally does that as he's arriving in the live chat. You could do with some small post-it notes for a quick paint guard on the track. And then Bocage was 103 pieces of all sizes. 103 pieces. Oh, right, yes, like post-it notes to kind of just hold against the tank. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's not a bad idea, that, actually. Yeah, post-it notes. That might actually be a good use for post-it notes. Because post-it notes don't stick to anything, do they? We use them in the office where I work, and they end up having to get bits of tape out or blue tack. They never stick to anything, but they've got some straight edges. Find that flow rate. Find it. Nice. Okay, cool. Still a little bit heavy-handed, but I can work with that. Lovely. Okay, leave that there. Let's come back to the hull. Let's do a second pass. I'm going to clean the needle off. It was Dave. Yup, evening. Yeah, I know it was you, mate. Welcome to the show, Dave. Thanks very much for coming along. How are you? You all right? He loves them hearts. They flood the screen. To be fair, I was playing with it the other day just to kind of see what was going on. I see exactly what you see, but it goes all over the live chat screen. Okay. Going to work back down this side in the same order. A little triangle artifact on the front there. A little line in the middle. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. The back side there. I think I found my flow rate. That's good. All fine here, says Dave. Nice. Are you working on anything this evening, Dave, or are you just here for the support and watching? A little bit messy at the top there, because that's when it was kind of coughing and sputtering when I was getting a bit of a block, but also I was struggling with that flow rate. So it is really important that you get a steady flow. I'm lucky that I think I can paint over that. Sometimes it will leave big blobs of paint, and it will show. Because the airbrush paint comes out so fine, you get such a light covering of it that it will show all the texture. That was faster, wasn't it? Nice. Just have a quick check around. Pretty happy with that. That's looking good. Let's pop that there. Back to this one. I started on that bottom corner. I'm going to do it in the same order. I don't know why. It just feels right. Started in this corner here. A little bit underneath. Making sure I don't go around the back there. Other side. Little line on the side there. You'll notice that there's no colour from the paint on the underside. You can see there's a difference between the two. Not really worried about underneath. I think it's actually the shadow colour there, but yeah, whatever. Okay, line at the front. And a little bit on the cannon there. Okay, and now that chevron there, which I did last. Again, it's a little bit messy, so I'm going to try my best to neaten it up by just going over it with some nice controlled layers. That's working well for me. Excellent. Right, I'm just going to get rid of the last of that paint that's in that hopper. Bit of a blocky needle again. Then I'm going to move on to the next brightness level of that paint. It's really tempting to want to pull the tape off and have a little look, see how it goes, but I want to use all of the colours. Just get a little bit of cleaner. What's done with the cleaner? There it is. Just going to flush that through. There we go. Put my needle protector back on so I can bring the purge tank out. Dave says, eating tea at the mo. Thinking which tank to build next. Oh, he's going to build one. That's very exciting. When we went to Recon, Dave bought quite a bit from the Bring and Buy sale, and is very excited for some new builds. Got a few allied stuff for because he plays Soviets in Water Tanker. It's going to be able to have some Lend-Lease vehicles, which I think will bring a nice bit of variety to Dave's tabletop. We also played a little game the other day with some other friends, and we kicked butt after we got our butts kicked. So we played 2 games, and we did very well in the next one. First one we were out within minutes, and it was a bit depressing, really. We just sat quietly and sulked at the bottom of the staircase, and yeah. Bit of backflow on the airbrush there, so I've got some air bubbles all kind of coming at the top of the hopper. So I'm just going to take my time. I don't want to spray paint water all over the place. The problem with the AK paints, despite their quality, they do dry so quick that they will build up dry bits very quickly. I have to put a lid on my airbrush there just to stop the air bubbles. I've got a little cap that goes on top of the hopper. It was quite expensive, but it really does help. See all those little bubbles appearing in there. And it might just be that I've got like a tiny bit of dry bit of paint in the nozzle or something. Just try and clean off that needle as best as possible. Behave yourself. Oh, you haven't been this temperamental for a while. I love a challenge, but not on live. Look at this then. What is going on there? I hope that I got that. What I did there is a little flow hole on the top so it doesn't create a vacuum inside as you're pulling air through it. I just put my finger over the top of that very quickly while I had the trigger to press down, and I think that helped create a vacuum and force whatever was in there out. Seems to be working now. It might just be that I didn't clean it out very well earlier. That seems to be a regular problem of mine. It is flowing all right now. One of the problems with an airbrush, I seem to encounter it a lot. People who are better than me don't. Now I've got some froth in there which I need to just flush through. Interesting. I'm going to show you this because I very rarely get to see this. So inside, can you see that big floaty piece of paint? That is one of the problems that comes from that I find that comes from AK. This is a very big example, and I'm really glad that this has happened, so I get to show someone. So basically, when you put paint inside the hopper, it dries. It dries almost immediately because it's a really thin layer. As you're cleaning the airbrush, it comes off and goes into the paint chamber. That is a huge piece of paint debris, so it's really important to keep your airbrush clean. A piece has just gone in there. I think I rescued it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hope that it doesn't jam up the paint chamber. I'm going to force that water through, and then I'm going to get a brush or a cotton bud in there. Okay, that didn't actually, the flow on that didn't really get affected, which is good. Where's my mixing brush? Here we go. So this is the brush I use to mix the stuff inside the hopper. So let's see if I can draw anything out with that. It's never happened to me on that scale before. I think that was just like a freak thing that happened. But what a demonstration that was. It's like a little floater. New pic of the greens has been posted on Facebook. Ah, mate. Don't know what he means by ah. Maybe he's talking about the paint choices. I'll have a look in a second when I clean up the airbrush. I'm just gonna use my light, have a little look inside. That's looking pretty clean actually. Okay, cool. I think we're safe to carry on. Just a little moment. Not sure which one, Stuart, an M10, Sherman, or another Valentine. Valentine, sorry. Why did I say Valentine? That was a bit weird. Those are the tanks that Dave bought at Recon. Yeah, I agree. Get the M10 out. Get the M10. Pop the lid over there. Cool. Let's carry on. I have a sip of my tea. Do you know what? It's been sat there for a while. Happy weekend, everybody. Cheers. Just a week now before Christmas. Yikes. Overlord asking me, which airbrush do you use? I use an Iwata Eclipse. I don't use Iwata. I really like Harder and Steenbeck. It's a German manufacturer. Really into German stuff. Really, really high precision. They really know how to make stuff. Not saying that Iwata or Badger or the other ones don't. It's just kind of what attracted me to the name when I was choosing. Went for the Evolution. You can get the Evolution. I think it's called the Evolution 2 or the Evolution Pro. But it's essentially the same airbrush, different colour. But here, if I take this bit off here, this is the needle at the back, and then this little screw nut here applies tightness with the spring on the needle. You can, with the Pro, there's like a little gap here that shows you that little screw, and you can set an adjuster, like a limiter, for how far the needle comes back, offering you more sort of solutions for pressure, I suppose, and flow rate, ultimately. But it was a little bit more expensive at the time. I didn't know how to use an airbrush. This was a good all-rounder. It's a step up or two from the really, really bog-standard entry one, but I think that this is the one that gets used the most by sort of people at my level, and maybe a little bit above as well. It's just a really good all-rounder. I abused it a lot when I first got it, not really knowing what I was doing, and as you can see, that I still struggle. Anyway, I used to have a very nice Badger airbrush, but was mistreated and died. Shame. I remember. Cool. Do you know what? I'm just going to have a little look through the Facebook thing, because Adrian's posted up his colours. Let's have a little look at that. Just get my phone here. Struggling to actually get in. Okay. Aha, here we go. Cool. Now I see the R. Yep, brilliant. So this is on the Easy 8 Facebook page that I'm looking at right now. Adrian has popped in there the 3 greens over Dunkelgelb. I think C might be the one. You're looking for the dark camo green, which I think is actually darker than the shadow colour that I've got here. If I was to show you the reference photo for the camouflage that I'm using, the C that you've got there is the closest to it. Jeff is saying R. I'd say that that's probably the highest highlight colour that you want to go to. However, for every nation, there were so many variations of all of the different camouflages, and some were just completely different anyway. But I think that you should start with C. And if you wanted to do highlights, you could work up by adding a little bit of R into it, perhaps. That would be really interesting. But I'm going to disagree with R. That's very, I was going to say it's very, very American, but like I say, you know, there were so many different variations. In a minute, I'll get the book out and you can have a look at all the other bits I put in there as well. Thanks for posting. Yeah, Jess put on there. R. I think C. Oh, anyway, cool. Let me get the other paint out. So I need my olive green base. Here we go. As you can see, that is lighter than the R. That's lighter than R, but I think that your C is darker than this, and your R is darker than this. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to give it a good mix up on the Wazomatic. Here we go. Give it a Waz. Haven't done that all day. Will do, says Dave. Go for the M10. Give us a little photo of it when you're done, when you finish making it. Oh, got a good go out of the Easy 8 Wazomatic there. Got to waz your paints. Shaking them's just not enough. I want to put little ball bearings in there, but I don't have the attention for it. At least I'm honest, right? So, I'm going to just hit some of the edges with this. Like, for example, on the turret, I'm just going to go for like the top section here. Really, really light. And I might not even use the light highlight that I've got, which is even brighter than this one here. This just might bring just a little touch to it. So yeah, that's that really. Just to bring a little bit of dimension to this build. I don't normally bother with all this sort of stuff with my 50mm builds, because less is more. But it's such a big one. Like I could probably fit 3 or 4 Stuarts. Like this is a parking garage for Stuarts. It's crazy. Where's my flow improver? Here we go. Put a couple of drops of this in there. Nice. And I'm going to get my brush here with a drop of water on the end of it and just mix that up in there. I want it to be quite translucent, so by adding a bit of medium, whether it be water or flow improver or whatever, will help with that a little bit as well. Okay, going to start on the hull. I'm going to start on the front piece because that's where I started earlier. I'm just going to get a flow test. See how much brighter this is. So when I started with that as my base colour, it was hard to wonder where I was going wrong, you know. All I'm doing is the top edges of them, just to add a little bit of sort of fake shadow into it, if you like. Knowing that I can always come back with the darker if I need to. Ooh, I think I went a bit too heavy there. I could just pad that away with my finger. Nice. There we go. Yeah, I went a bit heavy there as well. Waz. I've lost the sound through my backup mic here, so do let me know if you can't hear me, because at the moment I'm just hearing an echo of my own voice, but I don't think it's actually affecting what you're hearing. I've actually just got a very temperamental headset sometimes. In fact, there it is. It's a dodgy switch on the back. I'm back in the room. I'm sure you can hear me fine, right? Here on the turret, I'm just going to hit the very top edge of that, or the corner of that top triangle there, back triangle. Just like that, just the tiniest amount. It may look rubbish, but you only learn. Cat75 says, sounds fine to me. Hi, Cat75. Haven't seen you in the live chat before. Welcome to the show. I hope you find something valuable, funny, entertaining here. Thank you very much for joining us. Always nice to see a new face / name. And thanks for letting me know that my voice is okay. What did you say? What did I say? I don't... Are you being funny? Okay, I'm going to do this little chevron bit here. There we go, like that. With the green stripe on the cannon, what I think I'm going to do is highlight the furthest away edge, so the edge that's closest to the mantlet, so that when the red goes on, I'll highlight the edge that goes closest to the muzzle. That might look cool. Trying to be, he says. There's a cat hair on my tank. What would a show be without a cat hair? More on the cats later. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna do. What do you think? Should I do the highest highlight? What do you think? The reference photo that I've got for this is very, very dark. This is already 100% lighter than what's on there. But you know, my tank is not their tank. I'm just copying their design. What do you think? Should I go for the brightest highlights? I will show you what their highlights look like. My ear is getting buckled up under my headset and it's hurting my ear. Where's my highlight? So, if I just give this a really good shake, I'll put it up on the Wazomatic a minute. Always put it on the Wazomatic. Cat75 says, yeah, first time I've been able to see you all live. Normally I don't wake up for another 3 hours or so. Oh, so you must not be in the country. You must be from overseas somewhere, outside of the UK. Well, welcome to the show anyway, and thank you very much for coming along. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like what we do, if you haven't already. Please. Welcome, says Overlord Games. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll give that a wow. So, this is the base colour that I was using, the shadow, the dark one. That's the one I've just applied there, and then that's the highlight. What do you think? Shall I give it just a very quick... It's going to be too much, isn't it, on this model? I know that I say when it's the smaller ones you should go lighter, but I think that's enough for this size. What do you think? I think so. Oh, because we're at the point now where I would take all the tape off of it. We'd have a reveal. Just going to wait to see what you guys say. Excuse me. Is anyone going to say anything? Or shall I just go for it? I don't know. There is a delay on this channel as well, so if I ask questions, I kind of got to be really patient. It was really useful when we used to have Kyle on the show all those years ago as my co-host, because I could just sit there and chat to him, waiting for people to, type back in. What do people think I should do? Should I do the third highlight colour, or should I just leave it with the two that I've done? That's Adrian. Do it! That's my Palpatine impression. Do it! And that's on the internet forever. I've really got to stop being so impulsive. Okay. Alright, just the tiniest amount. I'll just get rid of what's in there. Yucky gross. Okay. Give it a flush through, just see if there's any boogers that come off on the inside of my hopper this time. Might be. Oh, we got a 50-50. Keep it dark. Do it light. Give me one more. 50-50. Who's going to make the awkward decision? Here's one thing that you can do to help get rid of the boogers that are in your hopper. It's just take the hopper straight off. Often you'll find that inside the paint chamber it's pretty clean because it's been sitting in there, it's been being sucked out basically. So what I do is I just take the hopper off, stops anything from falling off in there, get a cotton ball or a cotton bud and just give it a wipe out, or a tissue, whatever. So we have dust and do it. What will next week's reference be? So if you head on over the Discord, Luke, who watches the show often in replay, made our Discord server for us. Thanks, Luke. That was really swell of you. Actually has put like a whole channel on the side for just the stupid things that I say. Hasn't updated it for a while. It hasn't been live for a little bit, but yeah, you can see all of the stuff from previous episodes, previous series. Yeah, there's Cat 75 saying staying out of this one. Dark. Okay, cool. Look, there we go. I was gonna do it light, but then you know, the public weighed in. Okay, cool. So do you know what? We're gonna get ready for a break into the second, but let's just take one of these sections off. I'm gonna take the front one off. Here we go. Whew. Nervous. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's so cool. You can see there's a little bit of overspray on there. Look at that overspray. That's crazy. That's alright, because there's going to be some red going on there as well in a bit. Need the tweezers. I don't mind the overspray. I can always sort that out. Just shows me that I've got to be so careful. Look at that crisp line. Oh, that's so good. Oh, suit you. UK viewers of a certain age will be the only people that get that reference. Nice little triangle. Look at that. That's really good, isn't it? That is lovely. Thanks, Kez, for giving me this tape. Okay, let's pop that down there. Oh, it's so good. You know, you know what it's like when you open a pot of coffee. You're the first person to do it. You get that foil bit at the top. The satisfaction of doing that, that's kind of what I'm experiencing right now, but over a prolonged experience. This is the point where all my paint peels off and I get to start all over again. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm quite nervous, if I'm honest with you. I was clever, which is rare, and I did do a couple of heavy sealing coats of matte varnish over it. Suit you, sir. Showing your age again there, Dan. Yeah, you're right. Oh, suit you. Could have gone lighter with it, but I'm glad that we stayed dark, I think. There we are. Nice. Still got to do the tracks on the insides there. I got chatting with Kez on Discord at the end of last week, and yeah, ran out of time basically. Got tired, had to go to bed. Jeff says, I do wonder why the Germans chose the colours for their camo that they did. It's only when it has heavy greens and browns does it offer any kind of camouflage. Greens and browns in a Euro setting, or am I wrong? Yeah, they had lots of different designs and types and colours and things. They started off quite yellow and had quite sparse. Ah, look at that. It came away. I'll have to brush that in later. It's annoying, isn't it? They did squiggly lines, they did all sorts of things, didn't they? And I think that they started doing more red and brown, like covered a lot more of the tank. And then they also did, I call it flecktarn for not knowing what it's actually called, but the dark yellow dots all over the camouflage. That was quite nice as well. But there wasn't like exclusive to late camouflage, like you will find earlier stuff appearing in later renditions as well. And then of course over in the Eastern Front they just went with Panzer Grey. In Africa they just used the Dunkelgelb. That's a bit frustrating, isn't it? But I bet you're glad it's happened to someone else. not just you. Look at these crisp lines. Oh, so good. If you head on over to Facebook, you will see the reference photos that I use for this. I also put the link to the website so you can go and see all of the photos rather than just the one that I was originally shown. Shows various angles, and the weathering on that is absolutely incredible. And that's just not what I'm trying to do today. I'm just trying to have a little bit of fun and create that camouflage style. I really like it, a bit more peeling there, but that's okay, that's all right. Look at that, that is really cool. There'll be some red to go along with this in a minute. I'm going to just dump all of that. Got a little bit under the desk. Okay, here we go. We have to get ready now to go for a break. But we can still see this through while we're here right now. Here we go. Oh my goodness. What a chevron. Look at the chevrons on that. Oh, why is it not sticky when I'm trying to put it on, but really sticky when I'm trying to get it off? I actually do know the answer to that. I'm not going to bore you with the science, but yeah. It's so satisfying. Ho ho ho. Lovely. Come on now. Don't be a bummer. Here we go. Oh, this one wants to fight me. I have to get my tack axe clamps out for this one, I think. Thanks, John. Oh, it's so good. It's stuck to my fingers. Get off. Now, these ones here, I might struggle with these ones because they're wrapped around and on themselves. I do have a little scalpel here, so I wonder if I can do it without scratching the paintwork. Let's see if I just get it underneath. There we go. And it cuts really easily. It's a really nice light tape. Beautiful little mark left on there. Nice. Yeah, unfortunately pulled a little bit of the colour off there, but that was a little bit more aggressive. But this all looks really, really good. Looks a little bit sparse at the moment. Excuse me. But when the red goes on in a minute, it'll look really nice. There's a little bit of overspray. At the moment, it's actually filtering it down, and I'm not too unhappy with that, really. The filter kind of lends something to it, but it shouldn't be there. So I might have to kind of come in with a little bit of filtering or something later on, or maybe just kind of do like a little glaze over the top and bring the initial colours back in. That might be hard because I have done some modulation shading on this, so it is darker at the bottom, lighter at the top. But we'll see what happens. It might be that when I do like a weathering wash over it later on, that disappears. But as you can see here on the front, it's actually quite a heavy overspray. And it is in other places too, on the side of the turret here, side of the hull there. But you know, you learn, right? And I'm not too unhappy with it at all. Anyway, we're going to disappear for just 10 minutes. So if you're new and you don't know what happens right now, this is mostly the point where people go and get some paint water replaced, because gross. Go do it. See you in 10. Bye bye. welcome back. Hope you had a good break. Hope you went to change your paint water. I didn't. I went and saw my partner. She's really, really poorly today. She's kind of got a bit of a cold, and we're hoping it passes before Christmas. How are you getting ready for Christmas? Are you all ready? Have you bought all of your presents? Have you bought all of the stuff that you want for yourself? I've actually done a really good thing. If you don't know me, or even if you do, you haven't worked it out, I'm apparently ADHD through the roof, and I don't remember anything until it's the last minute. And even if I do remember, I don't do anything about it until the last minute. So I often do all of my Christmas shopping within the last sort of 3 or 4 days. And you'll know by now that nothing ever gets delivered in that time. I'm done. I'm really proud of myself, and my partner actually said to me the other day, I'm really proud of you, and she really meant it, and I was both insulted and really proud of myself at the same time. Yeah, I did good, man. Just to let you know that I will be doing a standard show for Christmas and for New Year's as well, because I believe that the Christmas and New Year's Day, I think that they're kind of like Tuesday, Wednesday, so I'm still going to be here over the Christmas period. If something happens that says like, hey, actually we're going to go see some family and I'm unable to do a show, it's Christmas and that's what it's all about. I will keep you updated on Facebook, which is another reason for you to go and check out our Facebook page. If you haven't already followed us over there, go and do it, because it's a really cool place for you guys to continue the conversation outside of the show. You can put pictures up, you can ask questions, you can talk to the community and just kind of talk about the stuff that you're doing, and I love seeing everything you're doing. If you're working on a project right now, you can talk about it here. I'd love to know about it. Just show me up on Facebook as well, because I'd love to. I genuinely would love to see it. So please do share it with us. We're not just on Facebook and on YouTube, but also on Instagram. I'm not really up to date with that. I keep saying it. I just fall out of love with it sometimes, but I will put some pictures up. I've got quite a stock to put up there on Instagram, but of course you can come and join me after today's show, and after any show really, on Discord at the Easy 8 After Party, where you can join in with a live chat, you can join in with a live video. And this is family friendly here on YouTube, but if you want to, because it's after the watershed, you can get yourself a grown-up juice, and we can forget the P's and Q's for a little while, and we can paint and talk rubbish, if you like. Some people do quite regularly. Your choice. It's cool. It's up to you. I'll be here for New Year's and for Christmas. Getting loads of messages coming through here outside the show. Let's have a little look there. I think I'm getting some videos, which I'll check out later on. Right now, I'm carrying on with my mouse. I'm making some really good progress here, and I don't normally do that. It's going to slow down a bit now because I've got to do some retaping, so I'm going to take you back over to the workbench. But before we go and disappear, don't forget that, please, if you do like what we do here on the show, or even if you just enjoy kind of just being a part of the live chat, perhaps, please do subscribe. Every subscription is a precious thing for me. It helps the community grow, and that's ultimately the big goal, is to create that huge community of people who just enjoy each other's company and share a passion, which is the hobby itself, right? So the more that you share, the more that you subscribe and talk about it, thumbs up the video, even get talking in the comments, it all helps the algorithm. All hail the algorithm. Subscribe, please. It would make my day. 140! We've got 140 subscribers. That's crazy, isn't it? Overlord Games are saying, what's next after the mouse? That's a really interesting question. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do next. I've always got stuff that I haven't finished here on the show. Flipping loads of it that I try to just kind of build up, and sometimes I come back to it on the show because I'm a human, you know. But actually I've got some really interesting projects coming up, maybe next week or the week after. Something very, very different. I say very, very different. A very different game, a very different style of thing to paint. It's always a miniature, obviously, it's kind of what I do. But I'm going to keep it to myself for now. Churchills, he's saying? I'd love to have some Churchills. It's not tanks. It's not historical. But I'm going to keep it to myself just for now. Oh, got to keep the interest, got to keep them coming back for more. What am I doing right now? I'm just applying a little bit of varnish. I've just mixed up some just while we're off on the intermission there. The reason for that is I'm going to tape over the model again, and I don't want to pull off that fresh paint. So to help that paint stick on there a little bit better, just seal it in with a little bit of matte varnish. I always mix in thinner and a little bit of flow improver, because it is deadly to my airbrush. It's just a solid resin and it dries aggressively, and if I don't, it just blocks up my airbrush, something rotten. It turns into glue. It's crazy stuff. So by thinning it down. Helps it go further for sure. Stops it from building up so quickly on the model, but helps it stop, prevents it from building up so aggressively in the airbrush. Took me a little while to work that one out. I was also thinking about a couple of these little peeled bits here. Not the end of the world. Bit of a shame that happened, but not the end of the world. I could just kind of paint them out by brush, using a mixture of the colours that I've got. I'll never really fully achieve the colours that I've painted on with the airbrush beforehand, so they always look out of place. I might try and do that, but I could also hide it behind some sort of weathering effects, or little rust patches and things like that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try and keep that down to a minimum. The overspray, I'm just going to have to be bold with it. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's purge the airbrush. Let's get rid of this. Don't need that. Do you know what? I'll purge it over the model. There we go. Cool. Yeah. Makes a bit of sense, doesn't it? Right, I'm just going to clean the airbrush out because I need to get rid of that varnish before it dries. So talk amongst yourselves. Go. Now I'm looking here at the overspray area on the front. That's actually where the red stripe is going to be on there. So I think I can sort of hide the clean bit by just masking that off and just spraying red over that. We'll see how that goes. I'm going through my airbrush cleaner quite quickly lately because I've been using it neat. Been cheating. You don't need to use it neat. So I've got a 50-50 mix made up there. Water and cleaner. It does a very, very similar job to neat cleaner, and it stops you from just blasting through airbrush cleaner. A little tip. I always have like a little bottle of 50-50 and a little bottle of neat made up because sometimes you need that just a little bit of extra punch, don't you? Okay, I think the airbrush is clean. That's good. Jeff says, Christmas is coming. More grey plastic. Thanks. Right, okay, I need that to dry. I've just hit that with another layer, so what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of cold air coming out of the airbrush. Just to help kind of agitate that wet layer, make it dry a bit faster. Now what I did earlier on, just for the sake of the show and making it go faster and kind of getting a lot more done, is that extra time that I used from coming home early, I just spent that whole time masking it up, and it took quite a while. I'm not going to sit here and mask the whole thing up as a part of the show. That's not going to be any fun for you guys to watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask it up bit by bit, and I'm just going to do a line at a time. And just that might even be faster, you know. It might feel like it faster, even though it might not be. You know, it's like the illusion of passing of time. I'm seeing a lot of overspray over it. I need to be aware of that for future masking projects. I don't have my partner's hairdryer to help speed this up, unfortunately. That would be very appropriate right now, though. Does look good though. Be interested to see what you guys think. What do you think of this masking project? Okay. I am going to go with the hull first. I'm going to do this front bit. Just check that, see if that's tacky at all. It is not. Excellent. So, just going to get a bit of this tape. That's probably loads there, but whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off the line where I want it to be. I'm probably, just to try and hide the overspray here, you can see it's quite intense. To hide that, I'm going to use it. So it's a shame because I spent quite a bit of time last week using my modulation colours to get a nice effect. Some fake shadow. And that will be hidden a little bit under this. But what can you do, eh? I mean, not do overspray for a start. But I did like Jeff's idea of post-it notes. That's a nice idea, that is. So I'm gonna go down here and down the front. I think, do I want to do a straight line down, or do I want to keep it going at that angle? I don't know. What do you guys think? Keep an angle, or should I go straight down the front? I quite like the angle, I think. I'm going to have to tape off the front there, and I'm going to have to tape off the edge of the green and across the top, as we know that overspray is a bad thing. So let's go down the line of the green. While you guys tell me what you think. Should I go straight down, or should I keep that angle? I lost grip of it then, which is a shame. I had a perfect lineup. I had that. The way I try to get those lineups is get one corner perfectly positioned and then just hold it and use it as a pivot, and then use the masking tape to your advantage. Just use it as a giant lever basically. You can drag it around. So the reason it was sticky later and not now is that if you rub it, you don't have to push very hard, but if you just rub it like this, you basically activate the adhesive, let it sit there for a little while, it becomes really sticky. I know this from kinesthesio tape. I had a bad running injury some years ago, and I learned my adhesive science back then. Okay, you can see that I didn't make the line, while I made the straight lines, I didn't get the thickness of that green line perfect all the way along, but that doesn't matter at all. Okay, 2 more bits, one for top, one for bottom. Now sometimes to go around some details can be quite difficult. Just your tweezers, just to kind of push them down around things can really work. I also use some silicone sculpting brushes. Like these, I've got several different sizes. This is my middle size one. They're just flexible, like clay sculpting things, and you can use them to kind of like push down. That's proven to be a little bit of a tough area there, so that might spring back up. And if it does, I'll just make sure I come in from this angle so it doesn't go underneath the tape. There we go, and I'm going to do a line across here now as well. Oh, do I want to? No, I want to keep that line. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tape off the tracks so that it doesn't get caught on there. Use my tweezers, getting a bit fiddly here. So fiddly. Oh no, it stuck to itself. Oh, sometimes it's really difficult to do. That'll be enough for now. I can clean up anything else later. I am going to get another bit of tape just over here, and I'm going to put my thumb over that bit, and that should stop any overspraying. Here we go. Like that. Okay, let's just do this first bit. I'm not going to make up loads of paint. Just going to do a little bit because I'm going to have to be taping between each one. I've got some rot brown shadow. Now it looks like rot brawn. It's rot brawn, which means it's German for red brown. I struggled with my pronunciation, so I bailed on that. Apologies to my German viewers. I know one of you is going to be laughing at me. Apparently I speak very good German, but my accent is awful. And that is not the words that they used. Let's just get that on the Waz-O-Matic and give it a good waz. Overlord Game Store says, are you considering the incoming Army Painter Fanatic paints? No, I don't know what the Fanatic paints are. Tell me more. Because I know that Army Painter did their speed paints, which is their equivalent of the contrast paints from Games Workshop or Citadel. But what are the Fanatic paints? Tell me. Maybe I would be considering getting some of them. Maybe we could do a little review on them or something. That'd be cool, right? Okay. Red, brown, rot brawn. 2, 3. I'm just going to put 4 drops in there. I'm not even going to add any medium to it at this stage. It might just be pointless, I think. Let's just see how well this flows. Okay, it flows really well. I'm just going to put my thumb over this side here. And here we go. I'm just going to come down at this angle here. That covering the track there. I can always paint over the track, it's not a problem. I just want to reduce the amount of repainting I've got to do. Come on, the top angle, just at the top there, stop it from going under that awkward little bit of lifting tape. It's gumming up a little bit in the nozzle. I might have to put a little drop of flow improver in the next batch. Didn't think about that a second ago. I've gone with the diagonal line. Nice. Okay. Gonna leave that little bit on there for a second. I'll look at my reference pictures. Mind if I post links to your Facebook on your Facebook? The Facebook page is for you guys to share everything, as long as it's related to the hobby, or even if it's not, I don't really mind. Just keep it clean. It's there for you guys, so yeah, go ahead, please do. Okay, so I've got a chevron at this point here. So at the top point of this triangle is the sideways point of the chevron for the red. It's going to be a bit tricksy to do, but let's do it. Let's go for it. Where's my tape? There it is. Right. So here, I'll try and follow that triangle line there as much as possible. Pop him down. There we go. Nice. I'm hoping I get that line perfect so that when the chevron comes along, it looks like it's a part of the same line. That's the plan. Hold one side down. Just shift it right up until... There we go. That matches the line of that green triangle perfectly. Fold that under. Nice. Here we go. Okay, so now I need a line that goes that way down. So matching the other side of that triangle. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Super fiddly work, and I absolutely love it. Thought I had that then. That was frustrating. Yes. Sticks to the paper better than it does the model, so just have to pick that edge up there. Pin the other end under my thumb. So now I can lift this edge up. All I'm trying to do is just make sure it follows that triangle line. Getting really fiddly now, so I've got to use the tweezers. There. Okay, so now it's on that top edge perfectly. Now, the reason I'm really fussing over this is because when you're dealing with such precision with an airbrush, it's going to pick up every little line perfectly, so you want to get it right. So there we go, that's the outer edge of the chevron. Now I've got to make an inner edge. Now this is where it gets a little bit trickier. So what I've got to do is make a right angle edge. So, well, I've got a right angle edge with my tape, but I've kind of got to neaten it up because it's got jaggedy bits on the end here. I don't know if it's going to show. But it's been kind of torn off. Jaggedy edges. So what I do is I just get my little scalpel and I just cut a 90-degree cut just on the end of it. And what that's going to do is it's going to offer me the dog leg essentially on that angle. So what you'll see. I'm explaining it very well. I need the inside edge, the outside edge of the inside. So I need to think about where it's going to go there. I think about here. It's going to look really good. Nice. Just fold that over the top. Now this isn't a like a 90-degree angle. It is a little bit more open than a 90-degree. But by having a 90-degree in there means it isn't going to stick out over here. Yeah. Some of my other chevrons did have 90 degrees. But what's important is that this corner matches up as close as I can with this corner here. And now what I've got to do is get another piece of tape. And I'm going to cut another straight line so it doesn't stick out over here too much. And I'm going to draw a line that comes down here. So you'll see. What I want now is a shallower angle. I think that looks about right. And now I want this point to be on that center chevron point. Like that. But what I've got to do now is match the angle of that line really fiddly and make sure that the point goes right on the edge of that piece of tape over there as well. Oh, frustrating. Come on, Danny, you've got this. Or has he? Tune in to next week's exciting episode as Has Danny Gone Mad? I think I just got that by accident. So close. Oh. Got it. That's my chevron. Right, that's it for this week. Cheers and bye. Whew. So we're going to put a bit of red on there as well. What I want to do is just cap the top and bottom off of that as well so I don't get any overspray in the wrong areas. Whew. That was fun. But only fun for that amount of time. If it was any longer, it would have been extremely frustrating. I would have thrown it out the window. Right, so just that top edge there. There is a chamfer to the armour sides, and I'm making sure that the camo does go over that, because in the reference material that I am absolutely 100% copying, it does that. And I really liked it, so some plagiarising somebody else's stuff there. I have given a slighted credit to the original post. So, I mean, if you're ever watching Easy 8, thanks for that really wonderful, inspirational piece of art that you made. I'm copying it because I think it's great. So what I'm going to do here So I'm going to put a little bit of tape along the wheels. I don't want the camo on the wheels. Some people, and some in actual history, painted the camouflage on their wheels. Sometimes they didn't. And on my 135th Panther, I did. And on a lot of my 15mm builds, I'm not. Just how I feel at the time, really. There we go. Nice. I'm going to hold my thumb over the end like that, and hopefully should get some nice colours in there. Going to put a bit more tape just on the other side. Probably do better than that. Just to help with that overspray that we encountered with the green. There we go. Right, let's fire up the airbrush. Let's see if it's congealed inside the paint shaper. It hasn't. That's wonderful. Okay, thumb over the end there. Nice and gentle now. Find your flow rate. Careful positioning of the fingers and the thumbs there, just to help with the overspray issue. Just going to go back to that original piece over here, and I'm going to do another coat just along some of the edges because I can see that it's dried and it's a little opaque in some areas. Nice. Cool. Onto this line next. I can't remember what side it goes on. I think it goes on this side over here. So let's have a little look at my reference material. You can see that there's a comment gone in from Overlord Games on Facebook. Thanks very much for that. I will check that out at the end. I was right, it goes on the right hand side there. So let's get a bit more of this tape. Wonderful stuff this is. Having a great time doing this, by the way. Thanks for coming along and joining me this evening. So I'm going to try my best to get that on one corner of the green. Pop it down so that it kind of grips there for a second. Enough for me to hold it. Reposition my hands and then pin it down on the corner that I think is lined up perfectly. Lift the other end and then just kind of move it around and then line it up at the other end, drop it down, got a straight line. I can see that's a little bit over on one side, so I'm going to pin it down on this side now and basically just fine tune that other bit. And I can keep working backwards and forwards over that. Jeff says, did you know that thing was 188 tons? In what world did they think it would work? The first soft ground it would be up to its neck. I thought it was only 100 tons, but the fact it's nearly 200 tons is incredible. Yeah, let's be honest. No one made it thinking it was a good idea. It's no, I could be totally wrong on this. There could be a wartime connoisseur out there who really knows what they're talking about. But as far as I'm aware, this was a nightmare dream from Hitler himself, who just got obsessed with bigger is better all the time. And as far as I'm aware, his generals and advisors were just like, it won't. It's just stop. just stop doing this. It's crazy now. But he just carried on because he was a loon. I am going to have some artifacting here from the overspray, but I don't think there's a lot I can really do about that. So I'm just going to have to try and filter it out later on. what I'm just trying to do is keep the green line and the red line as close to the same width as possible. Trying to make sure that both of those pieces of tape now are lined up roughly the same sort of angle. Overlord says, I don't think very late war German tank designs were meant to be very practical. The Wunderwaffe were a dream. Yep, yeah. Well, things like, well, the mouse became a reality, but it was only the end of the war that stopped it from seeing service. But like Jeff was saying, it wouldn't have got very far at all because it was bonkers. But the Rat, for example, and some of the other tanks, the E100, the E100, the E1000, E1500, they were experimental tanks. The Rat, or the Ratter, was just stupid. Makes you wonder if it was made as like a propaganda thing to try and put the willies at the Allies, but it makes you wonder if the war had continued, what we would have seen, doesn't it? Okay. I'm going to put another bit of tape on the other side there because the overspray is a problem. And even though I could use my finger or, to try and cover up a little bit more or even spray at a different angle, use the tape. Didn't realise they made an actual mouse. They made two. Well, 1.5 really. One was a hull with a... One was a complete mouse and the other one had a wooden turret. And the Allies destroyed that one, and when the Russians found the other, they took the turret from the good one and then put it on another one. They swapped the turrets over because one was made entirely of metal or wood or whatever, I can't quite remember. And that surviving one, the one that the Russians found, is now actually in a Russian museum somewhere, wherever in the world it is. So yes, it still exists. Yes, they did make them. They were discovered before they were released, but they wouldn't have done anything. They were just crazy things. They would have been bomb targets. The Air Force of whatever nation would have loved them, Anyway, back to the red. Here we go. You can see photos of the salvaged mouse if you're interested. It's like just type it into a Google search, you'll find it. Okay, that's another one done. So at the back end here, that whole back piece behind this green line is going to be red. In case I haven't remembered it correctly, I'm going to have a quick check, just to make sure I got the right. I have. Lovely. So and I'll keep going back and just making sure that these are all covered. We are getting pretty close to the end of the show now, but you can watch me do the last few bits and pieces. I'm going to do all of the camouflage tonight. I want to get all of that done on the turret and the hull, and I am going to carry on this over on Discord at the end of the show. So if you want to come and join me at the Easy 8 after party afterwards, there's a link in the description just downstairs, just down there, where you can go and find the link to Discord. In case you're new to Discord and you haven't seen it before, some people have been confused with it in the past. As a part of Discord's things, they ask anyone who makes a server to make like a little rules thing, which is, be respectful, blah, blah, blah. When you log into Easy 8's Discord channel, all you've got to do is find the rules tab down the left-hand side, and then to say that you've read it, you don't have to read it. It's the same blurb you've seen time and time again. You've got to react to it by putting a little thumbs up icon down the bottom. You'll see what everybody else has done. Just click it, done. That's all you have to do, and that will give you full unbridled access to the Easy 8 machine. That is the after party, and then down the left hand side there's just loads and loads of little sub channels where there's photo galleries of stuff that I've done, that other people have done. There's a list of all the previous shows. There's things that I've said that are stupid. There's different topics of conversation, and do you know what? It doesn't get used as much as I had hoped it would do, and it was me not knowing really. The first time I've really done anything kind of something I've done fully on social media, where I have a presence. I just kind of bit off more than I could chew. Easy 8 wasn't ready for it yet, so Discord's really made for thousands of people, but actually there's about a dozen who use it sometimes. And if anything, people use it more for chatting and gaming than they do for chatting to me. But I'm still there, man. You can still come along. You'll find me in the commander seat. You'll know what that is when you see it. That's where I am after the show. Come along. You can join in with a video, or you can just join in with audio. Or if you're really shy, you can just say hello by typing. I'll still talk to you. Whatever. If you've got ideas you want to talk about, come and find me. If you just want to come and talk rubbish for a little while with a grown-up juice, come find me. I've got a really strong ale that I'm going to drink this evening it's so strong I wasn't going to drink it on the show because, well, I've got a reputation now, man. It's a little bit of detail here that's proving really difficult to kind of get that tape over. So I'm going to run it up to that and then over the top and then down. There we go, like that. Shove that up there. Rub that to get the adhesive in the tape. Typhoons will love them, says Jeff. I missed some other comments. Really curious now. Was it operational? Good question. I couldn't confidently answer that. I think not. Maybe the one that was like fully made was. So various states of operation. It was definitely just coming out of the prototype phase. So I don't know. Maybe it was I had an engine, but obviously one didn't have a full working turret. So yeah, difficult to know. 100% on the Air Force comment. Yeah. Even the Allied forces started playing with super heavy tanks. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't know much about them, to be honest. I only know what was real. Typhoons would have loved them. Yeah. Just because they just couldn't do anything. Like, even the Panther, which is hotly debated as probably the finest tank of World War II. I will debate that, but that thing broke down for a pastime. Imagine what this would have done. It would have torn itself apart. They didn't have torsion bars strong enough. Anyway, could talk about that for hours, right? I'm going to put a little bit of tape, not just on the back there, but just on the back of this fuel drum. I did this earlier on, and that's just to stop, because I'm going to be coming in from the same sort of angle, just to stop any overspray from getting on the side of that. I call it an oil drum, but it is one of the fuel tanks. Yeah, it has an external fuel tank. A little rocket in the back of that would have ruined it as well, wouldn't it? Bazooka, even. What were you thinking? Got a couple of little angles here that I could accidentally hit with the overspray. So, just to be safe, slot a little bit of tape in under here. There we go. Just like that. And another piece as well. Make sure that the edges don't come over the edge of that, because I don't want them interfering. There we go, and again I can use my finger for the rest. So, back in with the red brown. Might get that tyre, actually the tracks there, I think I'll save myself a little bit of painting work later on, just cover that up too. Easy enough to repaint, but you know, work smart, not hard, right? Here we go. Red brown. Now, I could have done all this with a brush and probably saved myself hours of work, but it's fun, isn't it? Do another layer on this little bit here. Excellent. So that's one side done there, and the front. So now I've got this little bit to do. Might be able to cover up that quite a heavy chip there. Might be able to cover that up with a well-positioned piece of tape. So that'd be nice. Make sure that I'm getting my references right. Yeah, it's a nice big red line down there. Okay, so with this one here, I'm going to come back a little bit because that chip actually comes into the green ever so slightly. So if I was to just bring the tape line back a little bit more, should be able to get away with hiding that whole peeled piece of paint. Voila. Lovely. Again, just to avoid a little bit of overspray. Fingers and thumbs. Being a guitarist really helps sometimes. I get the chord stretch. Jeff says 128mm main gun, that would hurt, and a 75mm coaxial. You know that when your coax is the same as a main cannon from the medium tanks, the Panthers, that you've got some serious artillery that you're packing there. That's just mental. I didn't know that. It's a 120mm cannon, is it, or 122mm on the Jagdtiger, which is insane. The 88 is obviously on the Tiger 1. The King Tiger, I don't know what the King Tiger had. I actually don't know much about the King Tiger. I know it was bigger than the Tiger. It was bigger than the Tiger, wasn't it? For a while I thought it was just better armour, but it is a bigger cannon as well. Okay, let's make the outside edge of this camo line here. Yeah, I think I just put my finger in that bit of red there. Make sure I haven't put it on anywhere else. No, I'll have to respray that in a second. That's fine. No massive issue there. Oh, come on. Come on. Match up the angle as best as possible. Looks pretty good. I like to just tuck it underneath in there a little bit. It just helps get the paint in the right place. There we go. A little bit across the top. How's Adrian getting on with his mouse this afternoon or this evening? This afternoon. A bit late for that. Would love to know how you're getting on with yours, mate. If you might have even finished it in the time it's taken me to get all this done. Oh, Cat75 saying, there you go, I thought both Tigers had the 88. Yeah, I thought so as well, but I was corrected, I'm sure, a little while ago. Sure, Stafford was saying to me that I think that the King Tiger had a slightly larger cannon. Because it needed it, you know. 88 is pretty big. So another bit of tape there to prevent some further overspray. A little bit underneath. Now, I might be overdoing this, but I can't control the overspray enough to not ruin the tank, so I think it's definitely at my level worth me doing this. Takes a bit of extra time, uses a bit of extra tape. You know, it will look cool. I was really happy with how the green turned out, and I'm sure the red's going to come out just as nice. And it'll be really nice to see it all together. Right, here we go, bit of red. Going to get rid of that nasty little paint chip up at the top. Bye bye. Yeah, there it goes, it's gone. This red shadow behaves much better than the green does. It's not clogging up nearly as much, touch wood, as much as the green was, so it's been way less temperamental. And I've just run out. So I'm just going to put another couple of drops in there because I've still got a little bit to go. Both 88. Oh, okay. One was the KW36, the other was the 43. Okay. The debate continues. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you've been told right. So what's the difference between the two models? Is it just the different types but they have the same caliber? Or maybe Stafford was talking to me about the Yag Tiger rather than the King Tiger. Different gun. 43 was bigger. Okay. Excellent. Right, maybe I can get one more done before the end of tonight's show. I am a few minutes over, but whatever. I'm having a great time. I'm going to check my reference material. Okay. Interesting. On this one here, the red line is on the inside, so this piece of tape that I've put in here is going to have to come away. No biggie. That's alright, I can reuse that. Maybe. Got it. There we are. Might be able to reuse it for this little piece here. Oh, come on. Fiddly fiddly. I just can't do it. Okay, hold it there. Don't smear the other bit of paint. Lift it up from the other end, drifting off the shot a little bit. Pick it up from this end and just lever it in. Spot on. Cool. What's that, Dave? Dave says he always has a good time after a pint. I haven't drunk anything. Not today. Honestly, that drink that I was going to bring in would have been too much for the show. So I'm going to go and get it in a minute. Ah, perfect line. Perfect. Excellent. Give me a little sculpting tool. Just shove that up underneath there. There we go. Press that. You can see that the colour of the tape changes. You push it down. You can see that you get a better sort of seal from it. And this particular tape being designed for model use means that it's not super tacky. It won't peel all your paintwork off as you do it. If you use normal masking tape, you do get different strengths to it, but it probably will happen. And as you saw, that it actually happened to me earlier, so it's not impossible for it to happen with this. Last little bit. Just tuck that along the top of the armour there. Lovely. And then one more bit along the wheels there. Oh, I could do this little bit here too, can I? There we go. Okay, last little bit for tonight then, on the show anyway. I will be continuing on this evening. Let's get this line done. Bit heavy there, but got it done quick anyway. At least it was even. The difference between this bit here and this bit here is that the yellow is still affecting as like an undercoat for this red. It's really dark over there because I've got some decent layers on it. And when it starts to dry, it goes really dark, and I like it. Really gritty. The reference material, if anyone wants to go and see it, go and check it out on Facebook, because it's such a wonderful model and the mouse looks evil. Anyway, some comments going in now. Out of interest, why does the long barrel make it a better gun? Danny, this stream is not only painting, but it's also educational. Thank you so much. I hope that you do learn something. Sometimes I know stuff. So the extra... So a longer gun basically means, like the difference between a rifle and a pistol, that it will go longer, more accurately. So if you had a little pistol in your hands and you took a shot with a 9mm bullet, I'm just speculating numbers now, it would travel at a certain distance quite accurately. It has rifling inside. We know what that is. It's the turned bore inside the barrel that spins the projectile, and that keeps it more accurate, stops it from being turbulent and spinning off, and it hits its target accurately. The longer the rifle means that it would go further with more rifling, more accurate. You then go for slightly larger casings, larger calibers, so that you have more propellant to send it even further because it's got more force behind it. You need at that point then more rifling over a longer exit for it to stay more stable over the longer distance that it's going to travel. Otherwise, you're just firing artillery. The same rule applies with cannons on tanks or artillery pieces, whatever. Is that the further it travels, you need a longer cannon barrel to, makes it better. Interestingly, both the early Sherman and the Panther had the same cannon. That's a lie. They had the same caliber shells. They both have 75mm, but the Panther was a was a tank killer, because if you stood in front of that panther, it is enormous. As staff will say, the first time he stood in front of it, from handling little miniatures in his hand, you don't get to see how big it is. He stood in front of it and he was just blown away, as we all were down at the Bovington Tank Museum. It's a beast. It is the size of a small house, and that cannon is enormous. Has a larger casing on the back of it. It's the same diameter, 75mm round, but in the Sherman it was a pea shooter in comparison. Good for blowing up bunkers for sure. Couldn't penetrate armor, not like the Magnum round that essentially that the Panther had. And then you want to go check out our Firefly. That's fun. More accurate, says Jeff. Longer shell case, I think, is a Magnum round. Yeah, essentially. Crazy stuff. Here we go. Look, it's coming on, right? It's looking so good. I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying myself today. Anyway, look, we're at the end of the show, and Easy 8 meet up in Bovington. It's going to happen. Something to get you excited about. Let's get away from here. Crazy stuff. I'm having so much fun. I love painting tanks. So, a bit of interesting fact about me. I never knew an awful lot about tanks. When I first got my first 135th build, which is downstairs, I took it to recon. I still haven't finished it. It still needs work on it. I was like, oh, what do I do? How do I paint? What do I do? I don't know anything about it. What is a Panther? I knew it was a German tank, but I knew nothing about it. So I got told a few things about it. I was like, oh, interesting tank. And then you go and do a little wiki search, don't you? And then you go into a more in-depth search. Then you go and find what I like to call the rivet counter websites, where the people who know so much about it, they know the exact placement of every single rivet. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a derogatory term used to kind of slate them, but they know what they're talking about. And I just went and researched as much as I could about tanks. Before I knew it, I know quite a lot. I don't know everything, and I still get things really, really wrong. I'm not an expert at all, but I found so much joy in having a model, learning how to paint it, and looking at it and going, what's that detail? What is that all about? Like on the side of a Panther, there's just a big square block with brackets over it. What is that? Well, it's a huge, great wedge that they would use to put under the tank to put the jack on, because a Panther's 75 tons. If you put a jack underneath that, it just pushes the jack into whatever ground you're on. So this is a big block of wood. Was it bare wood? Was it treated? Was it painted black? It was often painted black. So you end up having to learn a lot about the actual thing, the subject it is, to paint it accurately, which I really enjoyed. I learned so much about metal road wheels that I could drive you bored. But I find it so interesting. So later tanks, especially on the Panzer IVs, they put such long cannons in them that the weight of the cannon would pull the tank down ever so slightly, but it will put more pressure on the front two wheels on each side of the tanks and wear the rubber out. So they ended up taking those wheels out, redesigning them, and putting metal rimmed wheels in the front. And then they started running out of rubber, so they just started doing that on all their tanks. And all these things I learned because I was just fascinated by how to paint the models, and it taught me history at the same time. And I think that's really valuable to everybody, So not only is it just a fun hobby to do, you learn stuff that you never thought you'd be interested in the first place. And I could talk about it for hours and hours. And when it's so nice to go back to Bovington Museum, and I've been there 4 or 5 times now, and every time you think you're just really bored of the same stuff, you go and look at a tiny little detail and you go like, what's that? And you learn something completely new. Cat75 says there is a limit to longer is better, but yeah, as long as you have enough power, a longer barrel gives you higher velocity. Crazy stuff, right? Anyway, Dave's saying, yes, please. Road trip, says Jeff. Yeah, absolutely. Let's arrange it for the new year. Let's get Christmas done out of the way so before then. Anyway, guys, I've had a wicked evening this evening. Thanks very much for your company. It's nice to see some new names and faces in the live chat there. Thanks for coming along and keeping me company. Excuse me. I'm now going to head on over to Discord. Going to take myself a few minutes break and go and get myself a grown-up juice. Change something a bit more warmer because it's colder here in the studio. And if you want to come and join me for a live chat video thing, please do. I'm going to be painting this for like at least another hour. Come and join me over at Discord at the Easy 8. After Party. We're not only here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Discord, and Instagram as well. Please do keep the conversation going. Go over the Facebook, share photos, go over the Discord, do the same thing over there. And yeah, just enjoy the community. Please do, if you like what we do here, do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Like I say, every single subscription is really precious to me. I cherish every gesture, and it is a really kind thing for you to do. It helps the community grow. And I'm really passionate about making Easy 8 community bigger, and a positive place to be. All hail the algorithm. If you like it, if you thumbs up it, if you share it, if you subscribe, if you put a little comment down there, it all helps the algorithm. Let's get Easy out there into every household. I would love that. Anyway, honestly now that is enough from me. It's been a great week. I will be here next week. Stay on Facebook to keep tuned in. I'm going to put some photos of this bad boy up when it's done, and I'll see you soon. In the meantime, keep on painting, stay safe, be kind, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. Gonna get a grown-up drink. Gonna get drunk because I got no work tomorrow. Ooh, chocolate.